Hello everyone, today we're gonna be reacting to one of the worst take on Forsaken I've ever seen in my life. Now, for some background information, if you don't know me, I'm Phantasm. I've been a competitive Forsaken player for a long time now. I've basically mastered every single survivor and killer, and all this to say, I have a pretty deep understanding of the game. Anyways, let's get straight into it. Alright, so this is the video we're going to be reacting to. Guest 1337, a masterclass in mediocrity. I've already heard some stuff about the video, but not gonna say too much just yet. We're just gonna have to see the whole video. Let's begin.
During long update droughts this year for Xaria, I've frequently played Forsaken, a game which plays entirely different from our favorite turn-based deck builder. Unfortunately, that also means that I ran into Guest 1337, and let me tell you, nothing kills the mood faster than seeing the survivor on my team.
Okay, that is true. Public server players really like pulling guests for whatever reason. I guess it's fun. If you do run into a server with like 6 guest players, most of the time it's not gonna turn out well.
Percentage of competent guests I see in matches is lower than souls cut from the game.
Random souls joke, but that is true. It is pretty rare to come across a good guest player.
It's so bad to use that I would rather play an actually usable Sentinel for the game footage in this video.
Okay, so now he's just saying guest is a bad survivor, which is just objectively not true, but let's see his argument.
It is criminal how Guest 1337, a character from one of the most memorable pieces of Roblox media on YouTube, was butchered this hard in Forsaken, and it's today's topic on the channel. We're breaking down everything that's wrong with this survivor, from its base stats, its Sentinel gimmick, how it's unconditionally worse than every other Sentinel in the game.
Okay, so he's calling it the worst Sentinel in the game. This video was made before the 2-time nerf, so of course, 2-time is still very OP when he made this video, but saying guest is worse than Shet and Chance. That's interesting. Let's see.
And how to fix the survivor. Let's get into the video. Guest 1337 is a textbook example of a noob trap. A survivor you can easily get in the shop that looks promising on paper, yet fails to accomplish anything meaningful in practice.
Like, everything he said is true, but also, how else are you gonna get characters? Like, if you don't buy them from the shop.
For those who don't know, Guest is a Sentinel survivor with 3 skills, 1 passive, and 1 undocumented passive. We'll be going over these 2 skills in a bit, because I have some
Okay, I actually don't recognize these icons. I mean, one of them is probably punch and the other one's probably parry. Or is that block? I don't know. Let's
choice words for them. But for now, let's go over everything else. Charge is a skill that moves you forward, and upon hitting a killer, it disables their abilities for 1.25 seconds. It makes Guest invincible for the same duration. Failing to land this ability on a killer instead gives Guest slowness 2 for 3 times your distance from the nearest killer divided by 13. This sounds...
Okay, that's a very detailed explanation, which I don't think people understand. Let me just summarize it. Effectively, you charge into the killer, you bump him back a little bit to create a little bit of distance. And if you miss, or if you charge, like, while you're far away from the killer, you gain slowness, effectively. And if you do land the charge, you're invincible for a little bit.
Great, but is outclassed in almost every way by Veronica's bumper skate.
Okay, so this was also made, when Veronica just released, when she had the most overpowered kit. So what he's saying here is true. The bumper had a 5-second cooldown back then, and basically knocked the killer back like 3 times the charge distance. So yes, the bumper on Veronica is just a much better charge.
And honestly also phase skate, which does
Okay, what?
every way by Veronica's bumper skate. And honestly also phase skate, which...
Okay, you would basically never charge to get away, because it's not what it's meant for. So yeah, if you use it to get away, then of course it is worse. I kind of don't get the argument here, but yeah, I know he's most definitely, well, the charge is at least most definitely worse than Veronica. It's bump.
She doesn't just have a faster cooldown, but charges her battery for her self-heal. A trait...
Okay, we're still arguing about how Veronica is just much better than Guest, even though Veronica, like, everyone knows Veronica was overtuned when she got released.
That Guest doesn't have it all in his kit. There's also 0 downsides for missing the killer with Veronica's skate. You know, I thought I'd also mention that. You're gonna use charge to escape a killer? Remember, it gives you slowness 2 if you fail to hit a killer with it. Guest glazers will always go on about,
oh, but charge is this really good ability that makes Guest OP and S tier.
No one says that. Literally nobody says that. Charge is the weaker ability in Guest's kit. And even then, charge can be used anytime. Which means if you just run up a ramp, you can charge the killer down, or charge him off a cliff or something, to create a huge amount of distance. But yeah, like, I do agree that he is much weaker than Veronica, but that's not because Guess is weak, it's because Veronica was overtuned.
You just knocked back the killer from a Shadletsky slash.
Okay, that does happen, but like I think we can agree that's a pretty extreme scenario. Like it doesn't happen all the time, and like the Guess probably doesn't intend it to do that. It's just the nature of public servers. Like stuff like that happens.
Yes, I'm sure you really helped out your team there. Guess hidden hit priority is alright until you realize it doesn't even work on both.
Okay, he just got cut off. I won't commentate too much on the gameplay, but like from the gameplay, you can see he's not that great of a player because he just got
There.
he
Guess
got cut
hidden
off.
hit priority is
Like,
alright until
He's check spotting at a terrible
you
spot,
realize it doesn't even
and he ran into the killer. But yeah,
work
let's
on
keep
both slashers and sixers attacks. And
Hold up, let me reread that.
until you realize it doesn't even work on both slashers and sixers attacks.
He's just saying why the hitbox priority of Guess is bad. I kind of don't understand what he's arguing here. What do you mean it's bad? Again, it doesn't work. Like, yeah, I guess, because Sixer and Slasher have piercing M1s and piercing attacks, but, like, does that... I kind of don't get the... yeah, as I said, I don't get the argument here. The hitbox priority is so that Guess can act as a bodyguard, to just stand on top of survivors and to tank hits for them. And, of course, Slasher and Sixer are just designed to get past these stuff.
And once again, you have no method of self-sustain in your kit, and reliable
No self-sustain? Bro, what's block? Block just makes you invincible. So I don't know what he's on here.
supports aren't a guarantee. The only 100% good thing from this class is its extra 15 health
Okay.
through its made to last passive, and is the only reason people unironically run Guest.
Again, that's actually just not true. People run Guess because block is a fun ability to use. And of course the extra health helps. Well, like, if he didn't have the extra health, people would still play Guest.
But there's two other skills we haven't talked about yet, which have completely run the survivor's reputation into the ground. Two skills which turned what could have been a decent defensive-based Sentinel into a lol cow. It's time to discuss block and punch. Guest 1337 finds more successful blocks when removing the immeasurable hate mail he gets daily.
Unfunny joke, but okay.
First off, Guest's stun ability, Punch, is unusable, and requires the usage of a different skill to charge it, this being
Okay,
block.
I was gonna
Now,
say.
this alone wouldn't be a huge issue. Chance is one of the best characters in the game, and his one-shot ability is locked behind hitting heads on his coin flip ability. This isn't too hard to achieve, as it's just a 50-50. The hard part is hitting heads 3 times to max out the odds of a one-shot success. Although, if things go wrong maxing out your one-shot charges, you still always have a 1 or 2 charge one-shot you can use. However, we then go back to Guest, and the problem very obviously shows itself. You have to use block to block a melee attack to gain a charge for punch. Not use block, but actually block and attack with it. After blocking a melee attack, you'll also get speed 1 for 2 seconds, and the killer will be slowed by 30% for 1 second, giving you a slightly better chance to land a punch. You know, if you landed a block.
Okay, so he's arguing Guest is worse than Chance because it's easier to get the Chance gunshot compared to the Guest punch. Chance shot is one ability. Chance's whole kit, like flip coin, effectively isn't a usable ability. It's an ability that allows you to use your other abilities. But for Guest, block on its own is an ability that can help in chase, and punch or parry is also an ability that can help in chase. So Guess effectively has like double the abilities. Okay, maybe not double. Guess effectively has 3 abilities, while Chance effectively has 2. And his argument, like his whole argument for block being bad, I think, is that you can't land blocks. Which for public server players, yeah. Like I'm gonna assume he played like 2 rounds of Guest and it was just randomly blocking to try to predict the killer and failed and got punished. Which yeah, of course happens, but once you're able to react to stuff, like you understand that every killer has something you can react block to. Like of course, Noli's whole kit is just rendered useless if you have a Guest, if you're confident on Guest. John Doe can't M1 you. Guest 666 basically can't do anything against you. Half his kit can be blocked and react blocked. What else? I mean, Slasher. I guess you have to drag block Slasher. That's a little harder, but like even then, you know, he's already weak enough as is. And then Cool Kid, like bro, walk speed override is unusable against Guest, and minions just gets destroyed by Guest, either blocking or charging. So Guest effectively counters every single killer in this game because of his block ability. And we're calling block bad because we can't land block. Okay, I have a feeling this whole video is going to be him arguing that guest is bad because the guests in his server, which he plays with, are bad. But just because like the players are bad doesn't mean the character is objectively bad. But let's keep watching.
Which you didn't, because the killer has a brain cell and knows how to bait out a block. When going for blocks, you're playing.
Look, I think he's right for the wrong reasons here. I don't think he's actually gone against competent killers and competent guest players who actually react blocks. I think what he means by baiting block is just a killer running up to a guest and just not M1ing. And then the guest would just block on itself by itself. You know, good guests will not do. The correct way to actually bait block is to swing an M1, looking like you're gonna swing at the guest, and then turning away to like play the animation, which the guest will react to, but then not hit the block. Which I don't think he's referring to that here. And even if he is referring to that, it doesn't mean block is bad. Like it still forces the killer to play like a completely different way compared to if there wasn't a guest.
In a mental game with a killer, and they're always at an advantage since they're the ones controlling if an attack is being thrown.
Yeah, that is true.
The result from this are so-called guest mains, throwing themselves at the killer and failing to land a block.
Okay, yeah, he actually is just referring to public guest player who just runs up to the killer and then blocks randomly, hoping they'll get a punch. Which, you know, he's right. Public server guests do that. But again, my argument is that just because the guests in your servers are bad doesn't mean the character is bad.
Dying so early in the match that you could swap them out with one of those clocks that give you extra time in Mario games, and I wouldn't see the difference.
Yeah, see? Yeah, okay, he actually is just arguing those guest players are bad. But it wouldn't matter, would it? If they were on anybody else, they would die like at this like about the same time. Like if they were on 2 time, which is like an objectively stronger character, they would die even quicker because of the less health. So like he's actually just arguing that because the guest players were bad, guest is bad.
And note how I said melee attack, not any attack. That corrupt nature or mass infection hurled at you isn't going to give you a charge, and that mass infection is still applying poison and glitch to you. All of this.
Imagine guest was able to parry ranged attacks. Like what's the argument here? And yeah, blocking mass infection is an effective strategy if you know you're gonna get hit. Because what's 8 tick of poison damage gonna do, bro? Yeah, you're gonna take poison damage. So it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
For a stun that's equal to 2 times sacrificial dagger, which simply requires a backstab.
Okay, 2 time is overpowered, but backstabs are not necessarily easier than landing parries, depending on how good the killer player is.
And only 0.5 seconds longer than Shaletsky Slash.
I'm gonna be honest, stun time isn't really a big factor. Like a stun is stun. Even a half a second stun can reset a chase, which can help the survivor last like a minute longer. It like a slightly longer stun really doesn't matter.
Wait, you hesitated for a second? Oh, I'm sorry. I meant 1.5 seconds less than 2 times sacrificial dagger, and 1 second less than Shaletsky Slash. All those hoops.
Is you referring to like not parrying a normal punch? Again, stun time doesn't really matter.
To jump through just to get barely anything over the other Sentinel options.
Remember, when blocking, you're like invincible. The killer cannot damage you without like baiting out your block first. So you're effectively invincible against most of the killers in the game until you mess up.
It truly begs the question, why would you run this over any other Sentinel if you want to win?
Like, I see his argument here. Like, I understand why he's feeling like this. He feels like guess is weak, because it is true. Like, the public server guests you play with are usually bad. And, you know, you get the feeling that guess is a bad character by seeing how they die instantly every match. But that doesn't mean, again, that doesn't mean guest is a bad survivor by any means. He has, like, one of the best self-sustain. Because you gotta realize, Chance cannot use his abilities in Chase, while guest can. And Shed has Chicken, and, you know, Chicken is effectively allows him to sustain much more than Guest, but Guest starts with just 15 more HP, which you can argue. Like, because if you do get perma-chased, like targeted off spawn as Shed, you're not going to get an opportunity to Chicken. While with Guest, you just start with that much HP. And also, Punch is probably objectively the strongest stun because it is the easiest to... Well, it's the only one with the lunge and doesn't require you to, of course, get a backstab like 2-time. Though we're not going to argue about if it's better than 2-time here. It's clearly worse than 2-time pre-nerf. But I would definitely say Guess is better than Shed and Chance. Simply because Shed's stun are just way too easy to dodge. And Chance can't get his gun, or, you know, gets punished extremely heavily if he decides to use his ability in Chase.
If you're running Guest for anything besides leveling for milestones, pick another Sentinel.
So he just hates guest.
Oh, it's as simple as that. You have no reason to run Guest 1337 besides going for his milestone skins, and even then, why do it for as lackluster a survivor as Guest?
He's not even like backing up his argument. He's just saying guest is bad.
Just to go over everything again, in exchange for
That was the worst slash I've ever seen in my life.
landing a block, which, let's be honest, will likely not happen against a competent killer, you're
Okay, I feel like he's like relatively new to the game, as he said, and so he plays with bad players against bad players, which is why Guest seems bad, because he is bad. Because Guest has a very high or very low skill floor. Like a bad Guest can be really really bad, but he also has a really high skill ceiling. Like a good Guest can just destroy a whole, well, not destroy a lobby, but like carry a lobby.
getting a stun equal in duration to 2 times stun,
Again, arguing about stun duration. Stun duration is not an important thing.
which just requires you to land a backstab and also comes with a 20 health heal, something Guest doesn't get. You are
Again, self heal on the 2-time is not the main problem, but okay.
getting a stun that is only 0.5 seconds longer than Shadletsky slash. 0.5 seconds.
Okay, I'm not gonna comment anymore about him saying the stun duration because you already know it doesn't matter.
You're insane if you want me to believe that playing mind games with a killer firmly in the driver's seat the whole time is worth 0.5 seconds of extra stun time. Chance
Well, see, problem is, like, if the killer is against a shed, he can just spam his attacks against you, and he only needs to worry about dodging your slash and then nothing else. But against a guest in chase or a guest like bodyguarding someone, the killer can't just freely M1 or use their attacks because they're gonna get punished. So like guest just forces the killer to play fundamentally differently, which is just an extra thing for the killer to worry about.
Chance's stun is ranged, which is already enough of an upside to put
Did you say chance?
extra stun time. Chance's stun is ranged, which is already enough of an upside to put it above Guest's punch.
Yeah, Chance does have the best stun out of all the Sentinels, but in exchange, he spawns with like possibly the lowest HP in the whole game on some occasions. And also he can't get his stun in chase, and it's extremely risky to use in chase.
But if you want to go for more of a close quarter stun, then don't worry, its max stun duration is longer than Guest's too. A slightly shorter cooldown means nothing.
Yeah, again, but if you miss your shot, you can take like 2 M1s. And you have a 10% chance of your gun just not working.
When you're still dependent on landing block to get to punch. What niche would I reason
Okay, he keeps looking at block like a requirement to unlock punch, which I don't think is the way you should be looking at it. It should really be, you should really look at block as an individual ability to just protect yourself from a hit. To just bail yourself out or bail a teammate out.
reasonably want to use Guest 1337 for, besides the extra health? Thank you.
I think most people play guest because he has the most aura. Like a really good guest can make him look really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like, bro, me landing this drag block are low-key some aura moments.
If you run Guest, you are nothing more than an extra 30 seconds on the clock for the
Okay, so he actually has not played with good guest players.
killer, because you can and will miss
Okay, so yeah, that proves my argument. These are the guests. Like, ignore what he's saying. Just look at how this guest is playing.
block to get to punch. What
So first of all, we're not even running away.
niche would I reasonably want to use Guest
This guest is shift lock looping.
1337 for, besides
He's actually just moonwalking.
it's the extra health?
Yeah, he's shift lock looping.
Thank you. If you run Guest, you are not
And this is the killer he goes against. So these are the players. Just keep in mind, these are the players you play against. Which, like, I'm not throwing shades at them. I'm just saying they're all relatively new to the game.
nothing more than an extra 30 seconds on the clock for the killer, because
So he got bumped. He got hit with the first stage of Void Rush. Keep in mind, a good guest player is effectively invincible to a Noli, because Noli M1 and Void Rush are completely reactable. And you should never be slammed as a guest by Noli. Like Noli should not be able to do anything to you.
you can and will
And
miss
he ends up getting slammed, which just goes to show, like, these are not great players.
the block, then watch that extra 15 health you chose Guest for, and more disappear. If you're quote-unquote competent enough to use block, just cut out the middleman and avoid taking damage from the killer's attacks entirely.
What? So he's saying good players are, like, invincible and don't never get hit. Okay, he actually just, like, sees block as, a prerequisite to unlock the punch ability, instead of seeing it as its own ability.
By looping him and managing your stamina. 1337 Glazers will try and defend this failed gimmick by saying,
Oh, but he needs skill to be OP, guys.
you
Yeah, that is true.
could have taken that skill and put it into any other Sentinel for better results.
Not necessarily true. Only true on pre-nerf 2-time. Though pre-nerf 2-time didn't really require much skill, I'm gonna be honest.
If you want a Sentinel with a consistent stun, just use Shedletsky.
I will say he does have the most consistent stun, but that doesn't necessarily make it better. Like, Shed Stun is probably the best one for consistently canceling killer abilities.
He has a bit of damage resistance when you use Slash and only gives up half a second of stun time. If you want a Sentinel that's tanky, I'm gonna be honest, use literally any other Sentinel than the supposed tank Sentinel.
No, that's literally just wrong. 2-time spawn with 80 HP and chance spawns between 90 and 60 and 90.
Shedletsky is a reliable self-heal in
Yeah, I do agree Shed self-heal is pretty good.
the form of fried chicken. 2-time sacrificial dagger heals on not just a backstab, but a front stab too.
Okay. If you get a front stab, you're definitely getting punished, bro. Like, you're losing like half your health bar right there.
And of course, we can't forget the second life you can go for with 2-time. Even chance is something for his survivability. Being able to use reroll to increase his health to amounts above Gust 1337.
But are you really sitting there and re-rolling for the whole game just to get more than 150 HP? And keep in mind, you spawn with really low HP as well, so you can get targeted off spawn and die.
And if you want a survivor that actually requires skill to be good, N7 is
Are we saying N7 takes more skill than Guest?
right there. Guest is a Sentinel without a semblance
I'm like 99.99% sure he has not seen a good N7 player doing clone parries, clone body blocks. So like I don't know what he's referring to in 7 skill there, but okay.
of consistency and a tank without actual methods to sustain itself. And if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that last part isn't gonna fly here. Guest 1337 is flawed, but there are ways to fix its design so he can be useful. I have 3 reworks which could each accomplish this, and in this section, I'll be going over them. The 3 separate concepts will aim to accomplish a couple of goals. First off, they'll make Guest 1337's kit much more consistent. A huge issue of Guest 1337's kit is that you're playing mind games with the killer in order to get your stun ability.
Again, react blocking is a thing, but it's okay.
Compared to the other Sentinels, which either always have theirs on hand, or can flip coins out of chase to access it. These mind games are always fundamentally going to be in a disadvantageous state for the guest, and this will need to be taken into consideration when coming up.
Yeah, so like look at this Guest. Like you can this is what he refers to baiting block, which is just going up to the survivor and not M1ing, which is a thing in pretty low in lower level play. And you know, it does work. And so yeah, like what he's saying does apply, but only in low level plays, which is, you know, people like this.
With a change. Second, guest block needs to be more rewarding to
Let's see his whole take.
pull off. Just
'Cause I don't think Guest needs rework. But let's see what he talks about.
stun from successfully blocking a melee attack isn't going to cut it, especially when the killer can very easily bluff an attack to bait out a block. The payout for all the effort in mind games needs to be worth it. Third, guest needs to keep his weakness to projectiles. Ranged attacks are easy to capture the block.
Okay, that is true. I don't think you should be able to block ranged attacks. Like a 1x doing so much work to zone you and then to land a mass on you just for you to block it, and then just walk away taking 8 damage.
So if we're going to buff block, we're going to have to keep that susceptibility to ranged attacks as a compromise. Our first rework goes all in on Guest's ability to stun the killer. His punch will no longer require a block to enable, but instead, blocking an attack will instantly remove the cooldown for punch. Punch will also get an actual cooldown duration now. I'm thinking somewhere between 40 to 50 seconds, so you have an incentive to go for blocks.
Okay, see, he doesn't okay, not throwing shades, but he hasn't played enough of the game, and he doesn't understand like each character fundamentally, and he's not good enough fundamentally at everything to actually propose changes. So the changes he proposed are like, you know, they're fine, they're okay changes, but like these, let's be honest, these changes are never going to be taken by the dev team. And also like making block and not just a normal stun that you can use. I mean, making punch a normal stun. It just removes Guest's whole identity in the game. Like I'll be fine. I'm fine with these changes, but it's just like it's a whole different character, you know.
This makes it so you have a reliable stun option, but you can always go for a block to drop its cooldown if you need it again. That being said, you're not forced to block anymore for a punch, which is something that'll greatly help out Guest.
Yeah, it will greatly help out those weak Guest players. But then it's gonna like be the most overpowered thing known to mankind.
The second rework takes an entirely different path, opting to help out Guest's tankiness. All the other Sentinels have a self-heal, or in Chance's case, max
Is he gonna talk about that block healing you?
health manipulation. 15 extra health doesn't matter when you're usually losing more than double of that on a failed block and don't have a way to at least heal some of that back. Guest's block now heals some health upon successfully blocking.
Okay, I was right. Some people have given that idea. I mean, it doesn't really change anything. Of course, it's gonna make Guess even stronger, which of course he thinks Guess is bad. You know, which is objectively wrong. But
melee
I
damage.
digress.
Die of Death is a game
Okay, yeah, he actually played that.
with a lot of great ideas for the async killer genre, and a block ability that heals you on success is one of them. Now, Guess 1337 can actually utilize its tankiness as long as it can keep hitting blocks, also making block, actually rewarding to use.
It was already rewarding though. Like landing a block is aura, bro. It's gotta be the most aura thing in this whole game.
This could also be paired with Rework 1, but I'm not sure, so I just made it an entirely different rework concept.
So he's proposing 2 different rework concepts. I mean, these are never gonna be actually taken, I think. But like, I'm not saying they're bad ideas. They're fine ideas.
Our third rework is a combination of the previous reworks. Punch will not require a
So
block
that's a third proposal.
to enable, but landing a melee block will remove the cooldown for it, and Punch will gain a proper cooldown duration. The difference being that if you land a parry punch, you'll heal a bit of health from that now. This is the
Again, these are fine changes, but it just like changes Guess's whole identity, so I don't think they'll ever be taken.
best of both worlds, giving Guest a consistent stun ability, but also another incentive to go for blocks, as a successful one can heal himself if he pulls off a parry with it. Worst comes to worst, if any of these reworks truly push Guest 1337 over the edge, like the potential balancers will claim, he could get a nerf in health by 5.
Bro, what? Okay, these definitely are all gonna make Guest extremely overpowered when in the hand of a good player. And you're nerfing the health by 5. Okay. I don't need to say much. Nerfing the health by 5 doesn't do anything.
Saying Guest 1337 is the worst Sentinel in the game is too generous, because the current
Okay.
state of him makes for the worst survivor in the game, period.
Worst survivor in the game. Okay. So like we're ignoring noob in public servers, which basically never help the team, and N7 in public servers, which basically never helps the team. Okay. Interesting.
Sentinel with less consistency than the gambling one, a tank with no way to heal himself, and outclassed in every regard. Guest Glazers can call him as OP as they want, but deep down, they'll always know that he's a masterclass in mediocrity. See ya.
Okay. I see. So basically his whole video standpoint comes from that he's played with a lot of guest players in public servers, which are basically pretty bad. Because he is relatively new to the game, he also gets queued with decently new players. Which I can definitely understand where he's coming from. Public server guest players are usually pretty bad. But the players making the character look bad doesn't mean the character is objectively bad. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any thoughts, comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. See ya!